Good evening, one and all who's gathered here to discuss about the sugar industry, the Indian sugar industry in particular. We'll strategically interpret the industry and share our thought about the same. We know that India is still an agrarian economy, with the majority of the population working in the agriculture sector. But their contribution towards the GDP of the country, which serves as the primary metric which measures a nation's progress, is insignificant. Speaking about the global scenario, Brazil is the largest producer of sugar in the world, followed by India. Not surprisingly, India is also the largest consumer of the sugar in world. Okay. There are roughly around 50 million sugarcane farmers in India, and the industry is employing nearly 5 lakh workers in the sugar mills alone. And the industry contributes around 80,000 crore Indian rupees towards the Indian economy. The main stakeholders in the sugar industry are the sugar mills, consumers, farmers, and the government. The government is even procuring this sugar through the Food Corporation of India and is distributing to the public through the public distribution system. Speaking about the profitability of the industry in particular, the figures are not appealing because it's a capital intensive area of agriculture. India is one among the countries in which the cost of production of sugarcane is very high due to the low sugar recovery, high sugarcane cost, and the taxes that are imposed by the government is also harming the Indian sugarcane industry. It is high time that the government makes certain changes in their regulatory framework to improve the fiscal health of the industry. The industry, which is highly regulated now, these regulations by the government are affecting the margins that the farmers can gain out of the cultivation of the crop. And speaking about free remunerative prices, which can be simply defined as the price paid by the mills to the farm owners. This is increasing year on year. From every year, this trend has been witnessed. And this is continuously bringing down the margin of those players, which is primarily playing in the field of sugar industry, particularly this industry. So the degree of integration, the vertical integration that has happened in the sector is not at all promising, which makes the sugarcane production very expensive. Now, Durgesh, can you share your insights about the nature of production and consumption of sugar in India?
Okay, so the production and the consumption pattern in India has emerged, as my friend Jugan mentioned, that India has emerged as the world's largest producer and as well as the consumer of sugar in the world, with production like 5,000 lakh metric ton of sugarcane. Out of the total production, 3,000, around 3,500 of metric ton of sugarcane was crushed by sugar mills to produce about 394 metric ton of sugar. Now, moving on to the next slide. So we will do the industry analysis through Porter's 5 forces. First of all, we need to understand Porter 5 forces is a framework to analyze and understand the forces that are shaping the competitive marketplace. It's a framework to look at the industry, not the company. So it covers many areas such as the dynamics of customer, the power of suppliers, the risk to be substituted, and so on. So the structure in the slide shows the external factors pushing into the competitive market, as well as acknowledging the different players within the space. So starting with the industry rivalry. So as mentioned, the industry rivalry in sugarcane production is really high. So this is most commonly considered force, that of the existing competition to the product. Like, we need to ask how many providers are in the space, what is the differentiation between them, how does it influence your power and pricing. So as you can see, taking an example of Parle and ITC Group, which almost have the 15% share each, have don't have much differentiation in the product, but the packaging and the costing are different. And due to this, the customers are easily moving to switching between these products. And this has led to decline in domestic market prices, exiting, which in turn has led to mills to exit this industry basically. So now talking about
Now,
buyers power.
Vaishnavi, can you speak about buyers power in particular?
Sure. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Go
Okay. So
ahead.
if we talk about buyer's power in the sugarcane industry, it is low. So the buyer's price sensitivity, sugar is an essential product for daily consumption and it has low sensitivity towards the price. So if we talk about relative bargaining power, the low price sensitivity decreases the bargaining power of buyers as well. So can you change the slide? And now if we talk about the supplier power, that is considerably low in this industry as the number of sugarcane growers is large and the concentration is not high. The product differentiation amongst the suppliers is also very low. And the government regulates the area from where the sugarcane is produced and procured. The compulsory bonding between farmers and mills within 15-kilometer radius makes it difficult for suppliers to change. The designated area arrangement reduces the bargaining power of farmers. And the switching cost would be high as transportation cost is prohibitively expensive. Now, if we talk about the threat to entry, it is very high because the capital requirement is high because of low sugar recovery and high sugarcane cost. If we talk about the access to distribution channels, the open market is catered to by various channels such as agents, distributors, wholesalers, B2B customers, etc. And now if we talk about the legal and regulatory barrier, they are heavily controlled by government as sugarcane is an essential commodity. Can we go to the next slide? Oh, thank you. The stuff and if we talk about the substitute competition, it is moderate because the buyer's propensity to substitute is moderate and the relative prices and performance of the substitutes is low. The reasons for the same are significantly cheaper but low appeal of existing alternatives, the safety concerns of sweeteners, and the low usage in India, the cane sugar being a traditionally staple, price-conscious households, and B2B customers largely resistant to change. Now, I would like to hand over the presentation to my colleague Dhruval.
Thank you, Vaishnavi. Now we'll do another analysis, which is a pastel analysis. Basically, in this pastel analysis, we look at the various factors like political factors, economical, social, technological, environmental, and legal factors that ultimately affects the industry in a way and that makes some changes in the industry or the functioning of the companies. So first of all, we'll talk about the political aspects. So the government basically focuses more on expansion of the cooperative sector because the labor's availability in the sugar sector is very limited. So by making it cooperative, the farmers can also have a work throughout the year. So government basically focus on expanding the cooperative sector in the sugar industry. So it ultimately leads to substantial growth of cooperative sugar industries entities. Then talking about the national biofuel policy, it is conflicting the interest of oil companies. Apart from this, restrictive government policies are in the favor of oil companies, and the lobbying by the liquor industry and lobbying by the chemical industry is also present there. So now we'll talk about the economical aspect. So in 2014-15, about 175 million metric ton of sugar was produced worldwide with an industry annual growth rate of around 0.4%. And a few of the world's sugar producing countries consumed majority of the world's produce, and only few was left to be traded in the market. So the productivity of the sugar largely remained stagnant since decades, and the growth was only seen because of a growth in sorry, growth in cultivated area. Sugar production is cyclical in nature. Typically, 3 years of high output is followed by 2 bad production years. And India has also seen one of the largest consumers of sugar with consumption rising at around 3.76% of compound annual growth rate. So now I would like to hand over it to the Pavitra.
Next slide. Now let's talk about the social aspects of pest analysis. Social factors looks at trends such as lifestyle factors, cultural norms and expectations, and sometimes like career attitudes as well as work-life balance. And how it works on in Indian sugar industry is that it has lack of bargaining power. It sells canes only to the producers within the radius of 15 kilometers. Further, farmers depend on the success of the industry. Also, the agricultural industry has disguised unemployment, that is less globalization of labor. Despite a drop in prices, farmers continue to grow sugarcane since it's a sturdy crop. Natural calamities also play a role in that. Droughts and floods, especially in Maharashtra and Karnataka, lead to decrease in production. WHO guidelines impacted the sugar industry to reduce sugar intake, affecting the overall profitability of mills, which was ultimately passed on to the farmers. Next slide. The technological aspects of pest analysis looks how an organization operates and sells its products, intelligence on customers, suppliers, and competitors. In sugar industry, it showed a slow technological growth, upgradation required by FPD. Further, the plant efficiency has a collaboration of science and technology with government through initiatives. It has improved cost structure, reduced wastage, and optimized the gains for the higher content of sucrose. It requires of technological advancement to meet high demand with limited produce. Biotechnology solutions introduced for new varieties of cane. Tissue culture technology introduced for mass manipulation of quality cane and its faster recovery. Pest analysis, environmental and legal. Factors considered from environmental aspects are, first is climatic condition. Water requirement, nutrients, depleted soil. And second is factors considered from legal aspect. It has imposition of custom duty in pre-independence era, liberalization and decontrol of sugar, national biofuel policy. Next. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for the insightful talk. This session was quite informative, and it was so impressive that you shared your thoughts on the industry in particular. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.